the message or the speech prepared by the professor. Mr. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me first express my sincere gratitude to the organizers of this all-important conference, and in particular, Mr. SKY Adelakun, the Managing Director, CEO of Niche Affordable Housing Limited, for inviting me to serve as a special guest of honor and keynote speaker at this second Nigeria Housing Finance Conference. The topic of my address, as advised, is developing a Marshall Plan for overcoming housing deficit in Nigeria. That's a big challenge, but for Professor, I know. He knows how to go about it. The renowned philosopher Socrates said, and I quote, "Food, warmth, and shelter are the essentials. The rest, to some degree, is luxury." Food, warmth, and shelter. These are the essentials of life. The rest are luxury. And those of you who are familiar with Maslow's law hierarchy, he asserted that housing is one of the most basic needs of humanity. No wonder we have it very high on the top of the fundamental human rights. Nigeria has had a national housing policy at various stages of its development and has been reviewed and revised by both military and civilian administrations the country experienced even before independence. Yet, there has been an outcry, justifiably I must say, that there is a serious housing deficit in the country, especially for the low-income and peasant citizens. As widely publicized in our national dailies, and quite true also, Nigeria's housing deficit is in the region between 15 to 20 million, and the annual average is 900,000. So if in 2014 the deficit was 15 million or so, we know now it is getting to 20 million. In fact, this was confirmed by the National Bureau for Statistics and the Managing Director of the Federal Mortgage Bank at one time, 2 or 3 years back. We all know that huge housing deficit exists in Nigeria, especially in the low and medium income range. Housing deficit is a global phenomenon which is prevalent in both developed and developing countries. Any nation that cannot provide this basic need for its citizens is postponing the evil day. Consequently, Nigeria requires a comprehensive and workable plan, or what we call Marshall Plan, to effectively address this huge housing shortage in a strategic, systematic, and collaborative manner. This is a necessity if we are to achieve significant and sustainable success in delivering affordable housing to the teeming population of Nigeria on a large scale. Many countries have been intensifying their efforts in order to overcome the deficit by adopting many approaches with varying degrees of success. A number of impediments and extraneous factors can be identified as largely responsible for the growing housing need in the world, and in particular in developing countries where the problem is more acute. There are many challenges, such as land, technology, expert knowledge and skilled manpower, building materials, infrastructure, and maintenance and management, legal framework, and finance, the most important. Other issues include mortgages, insurance, and other estate issues. So we'll come to them later. We take the first one, that is land. Land is held in trust for the people by the federal and the state governments, and including local governments. And the solution to land and land titles issues lies with the federal and the state government, the three tiers of governments. It is important to note that affordable housing cannot be achieved using land purchased at market prices. It is also important to note that for affordable housing to succeed, governments must provide easy access to land and land titles at little or no cost. There are many benefits governments stand to gain from offering liberal land policy for affordable housing. These benefits include stimulated economic growth, youth employment, improved well-being of citizens, revenue generation from property taxes, levies, and tenement rates. Above all, the government will be fulfilling its responsibility of providing shelter to its citizens. The multiplier effect of housing on the entire economy and the quality of life of the people cannot be overemphasized. And then you have peace. If there is no shelter, there will be no peace. That's why it's one of the reasons that we are having serious challenges, security challenges in the country. The next challenge is building technology. The second factor is modern building technology that ensures speed, cost effectiveness, and the economy of scale in construction of affordable housing. This factor calls for attraction and involvement of high-tech developers, possibly foreign non-profit developers, through strategic partnerships and provision of conducive environment. This is especially important in traditional building methods, as traditional building methods through award of contracts cannot and will not deliver affordable housing. The other factor is expert knowledge and skilled manpower. These are essential for delivering affordable housing, and as such, efforts must be redirected at training and retraining of professionals and workers in the building industry. It is not sustainable to depend on foreign workers and professionals for providing tiling, electrical painting, ceiling, roofing, etc., etc. I urge NISH to pursue the initiative that it's promised, that it is committed to setting up vocational centers as part of global efforts in this direction. Governments should also intensify the establishment of such centers all over the country. I know some states have them, I know the federal government has some, but we need more. The fourth factor is building materials. These are also critical to developing affordable housing. They should be produced locally and obtained at reduced costs if we are to deliver affordable housing. Policies must be geared towards encouraging new entrants into building materials industry. Bulk discounts should be offered by manufacturers, especially for affordable housing projects. Manufacturers of building materials, especially the socially responsible ones, should make it a policy or strategy, if you like, to moderate prices and offer special discounts and terms for housing cooperative societies for affordable housing projects. Government on its part should also consider 100% waivers or lowering of import duties on imported building materials specifically tied to the affordable housing project after the Marshall Plan we are proposing today is finally approved. Infrastructure. Another important factor is provision of infrastructure like roads, electricity and power, water, communication, and other services. There are numerous models that can be adopted around the world for cost effectiveness and efficiency. This should be a distinct business unit from construction of affordable houses. Ideally, government should provide infrastructure and recover the cost through reasonable charges and levies. Now we come to the most important and the critical factor, which I see some of the bankers and the insurance executives are really looking at, which is finance. The most critical factor that affects all other factors mentioned earlier, and the most challenging in delivering affordable housing is finance. And that is the main focus of today's event. We need finance to buy land, technologies, building materials, infrastructure, and pay workers and professionals. We also need finance to buy completed houses. Finance is also in short supply, and it is very costly. There is need for both construction and mortgage finance. The approach so far